Hello there. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. You are tuned to the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast, where we stand for God's truth, not man's traditions, and we bring you straight Bible truth for these last days. The WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast is a virtual outreach ministry of Sacrificial Lamb Ministries. We are outreach driven. Hey everyone, this is Pastor Vince. It is Wednesday. It is Hump Day, as many of us know it by. And besides Friday, Wednesday is my other favorite day of the week. Why? Because Wednesday is the Wednesday check-in. This is our latest edition of the Wednesday check-in. Now, we've been off for the past few weeks. We've had a lot going on around here. I celebrated my 55th birthday a couple weeks ago, so we were off during that week. And then we took an additional week off. And we got some things accomplished by God's grace. We thank him so much for what he is continuing to do for this ministry. And here on the Wednesday check-in, we come together and I share announcements, news, updates concerning the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast and Sacrificial Lamb Ministries in general. So today is April 12th. 2023, and let me tell you what's been happening over the past few weeks. Let me just run it all down to you. First of all, we've had a name change for one of our programs. So on Mondays at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we were bringing you Pray for the Persecuted, but we have changed the name of that program to what is now called Prisoners of War. We call it Prisoners of War because simply we are all involved in this spiritual battle between Christ and Satan. And those of us who have chosen to stand on the side of Christ, at some point in time, we may become a prisoner of war, a prisoner of the spiritual war that's been going on. So let me be more specific. When I say prisoner, I mean, again, those of us who have chosen to stand on the side of Christ may one day face persecution, imprisonment, torture, or even loss of life. How bold is your faith? How bold is my faith that we can stand for Christ while staring at imprisonment, torture, loss of life? How many of us are bold enough in our faith to deal with that? So in a nutshell, that's why we're calling it Prisoners of War. It's the same theme. We feature a new country every week, and we give you some details about that particular country and what Christian believers are facing in that particular country, whether it's, again, persecution, torture, any type of restriction that they may be facing because they have chosen to stand for Christ. They have chosen to be a Christian believer versus whatever their country dictates, whether it's Islam or wherever the case may be. So that's the first change since the last time we were together. So again, on Mondays at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we now have Prisoners of War, which used to be called Pray for the Persecuted. That's number one. Number two, we have a new website. That's right, we have a new website dedicated to the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. I won't give you the URL because it's a little bit long and I haven't quite memorized it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure you have the link or the URL in the episode description box for this episode. You can look at it, you can go to the link, and you can see what our brand new website looks like. And the platform that it's on is a platform called On Podium. OnPodium, On Podium. That's the platform that our new website is on. Again, it's the website dedicated to the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. You can listen to all of our episodes. You can shop the SLM virtual store. You can donate. There's a donate button. And that reminds me, we also have a new Patreon account. So that's number 3, really. So number 1 is the program name change. Number 2 is our own dedicated website. Number 3, we are now on Patreon. Many of you may be familiar with Patreon. So when you go to our website, which contains all of our episodes, all of our latest episodes. As a matter of fact, this episode that you're listening to right now can be found on our new website. But again, you can listen to all of our episodes on this website. You can donate. There's a donate button, which will take you to our brand new Patreon account. I'll let you check that out. You may be already familiar with Patreon, but if you're not, go to our website and hit the donate button, and it'll take you to our new Patreon account. Or you can access Patreon outside of our website by going to patreon.com/the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. So that's number 3. So those are 3 things. Number 4, we are also on Twitter now. We have a Twitter account. That's right. So it's simply the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast on Twitter. You can stay connected with us now on Twitter. And I guess you call it a handle. Our handle on Twitter is at the WSLM Radio Min. Again, at the WSLM Radio Min. That's our handle, or whatever it's called, on Twitter. So much has been happening over the past few weeks. Yes, I was celebrating my 55th birthday, but I was putting in some work too. So, that's just who I am. That's my nature. Yes, I was doing the best I could to celebrate new life, to celebrate chapter 55, if you will, but I was putting in some work as well. And those are the 4 things that God has brought forth through us to share with you all. So that's it, friend. I mean, those are the 4 new things that have happened since we were last together. We continue to move forward. We continue to follow the Lord's leading. And I know He has some other things in store for us, but we have to continue to stay connected with Him. And He will reveal these things to us as time goes on. And He will tell us what steps to take. But I wanted to share those 4 things with you. I was so excited. I couldn't wait to come together today on this Wednesday check-in. Again, this is Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, the Wednesday check-in. That's what's happening here. We're on all the other social media platforms that you already know about. We've got our official website, the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. We have our own separate website for the podcast, but I mean, you already know about the Sacrificial Lamb Ministries official website. And in case you're not familiar with the Sacrificial Lamb Ministries website, it's sacrificiallambministries.org. On our Sacrificial Lamb Ministries official website, we have a page dedicated to the podcast as well. So you could also listen to the podcast directly from our Sacrificial Lamb Ministries website. There's a page for the website. There's a page for the podcast. There's also a separate page for our virtual store. I mentioned that earlier. The SLM virtual store. We've got branded gear. We've got logos on there specific to Sacrificial Lamb Ministries. Logos specific to the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. As a matter of fact, I'm going to have to upload some new logos because that's something else I've been working on over the past few weeks. Well, that's something I've been doing all the time anyway, but I've created some new logos and things that will go nice on a t-shirt, a hoodie, a cap, whatever you may want to, buy. But all those things are available at the SLM virtual store. So I think I covered everything. If there's something that comes to mind, I will definitely share it with you all. But I want to share those things with you just to let you know how the Lord has been blessing, and He's been keeping me busy behind the scenes to help make these things come to light. All right. So thank you once again for your support of the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast and Sacrificial Lamb Ministries in general. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you so much for joining me. If this is not your first time, thank you for your continued support. We could use your financial gifts. I've mentioned this in the past. I try not to say something or anything about money every time I speak to you, but because I don't want to, be one of those pastors. Oh, he's always asking for money. But friends, there's an old saying that goes like this: the gospel is free, but ministry is expensive, or it takes money to run a ministry. Many of you know that. Many of you may not really understand that or believe that, but it's true. And I'm just going to break it down for you a little bit. It costs money, even if you're not in ministry and you own a business or anything of that nature. It costs money to maintain your website. You got to pay people to do your website, to host your website. Social media is generally free, but I'm saying as far as the websites, you got to pay someone to do the website, to host the website, to maintain it. All these different expenses that we have incurred, all for the good, all for the cause of Christ, but we need your help to offset these expenses. Okay, so. That's one of the reasons why we have the Patreon account to help out with that. We've got the SLM virtual store to help out with that, and just your giving in general. We've got Cash App, which is $SLM Concord. We've got what else we got? We've got Zelle, ZELLE. You may be familiar with Zelle. You're gonna use Sacrificial Lamb Ministries at gmail.com, which is our email address for Zelle. We've got the Givelify, GIVELIFY. Just search for Sacrificial Lamb Ministries at Givelify. So many different ways you can give. You can help us offset some of these costs that we incur on a monthly basis. Anything additional you'd like to contribute to us, that would be wonderful. And I will add that all your gifts are tax deductible. All right. Wow, so much I covered this week, but I wanted to let you know what was happening. Thank you once again for your support of the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast, where we stand for God's truth, not man's traditions, and we bring you straight Bible truth for these last days. The WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast is a virtual outreach ministry of Sacrificial Lamb Ministries. We are outreach driven. Hey, this is Pastor Vince. Thank you for listening. Please stay plugged in, and please check out our new website. It's located at the platform called On Podium. I will share the link, the URL, in the episode description box, so you can go check that out. You can see all the features and things of that nature. It's taken a few weeks to get it up and running, but it's now up and running. I'm satisfied with it. I had to go back and forth with the folks to make sure things look the way I wanted it to look, but it's ready for you. Please check it out. Thank you once again. Until we come together next time, by God's grace, be blessed, and tell a friend, tell a family member about the WSLM Radio Ministry Podcast. Take care.